Well, we've been hearing a lot about cycling recently on the Isle of Man. We've got the work going on the quayside at Market Hall, and also in the budget there's been more exciting news for cyclists. If you're into the electric ones, that you're going to get some help on that with your tax. Anyway, Rob Holden is now joining us. He's the ambassador in the Isle of Man for cycling, and what we're actually going to start off with is about this initiative plan the Isle of Man government's getting together with you about getting more people on two wheels, more exercise. What exactly is this all about, Rob?
Yeah, well, the active travel has been talked about quite a lot with local authorities in the UK. So it's trying to incorporate your daily amounts of exercise within your normal routine of travelling to work, essentially. So we've got daily amounts of recommended exercise, moderate exercise. So from a cycling point of view, that's approximately 150 minutes a week. So if you break that down into a 5-day week, potentially you could fit that in with a 15-minute moderate cycle to work and back, so half an hour a day, 5 days a week, and that more than suffices your recommended allowance. So what's historically happened and what we've learned and what medical professionals have learned is that, you know, we've been preaching for a long time, and the well-known facts about obesity and inactivity are not good for us. What people don't tend to like is being told what to do. So trying to incorporate in your daily life and essentially enabling people to do that by actually having a choice. So some people might feel that it's not necessarily safe enough to cycle, is enabling them to provide facilities that might be possible.
Okay, well, the report says the Isle of Man's got an obesity problem like everywhere else. I mean, you concur with that, do you? And cycling is one of the ways to take it... to reduce that level.
Yeah, I mean, we live in the age of data, don't we? And I think where the Isle of Man sometimes lagged behind it is local data. So we've relied a lot on UK data, tried to magnify it, but we've been quite good recently. We've got a new Director of Public Health, had a really detailed report on essentially a state of the health of the nation last year. So we've got some more localised data. So we're obviously not a lot different to the UK, but we compare alongside some of the unhealthiest regions of the UK. So with more than 60% of people who are overweight or obese, and this is not a new. Obviously, I think a lot of people are aware of the situation. And also children. I can't remember if it was 1 in 5 children are now classified as obese, and what we know is from that is that they tend to carry that through to adulthood, which is the key thing. So again, it's trying to incorporate into active travels, enabling people to make a choice of maybe leaving the car at home and walking or cycling, which is active travel is walking and cycling. Obviously, I represent what cycling is in this case. But the other key information that we've got is it was a really big survey last year from the British Medical Journal, which was over 250,000 people were incorporated in the study over 5 years, and cycling came out. Essentially, the conclusion of the survey was that the British Medical Journal were asking governments to do all they can to make active travel possible. And cycling came out particularly favourable because it had more benefits in terms of health. Although obviously walking is obviously a great thing to do if you're not particularly active, and it's readily accessible. Obviously we have pavements, etc. Cycling's not so much.
Okay, it's a 10-point plan though you're putting together. Is that right? Yeah,
I mean it's like every good plan. It's not all our own idea. It's the campaign from British Cycling that Chris Boardman heads up, who's now the Cycling and Walking Commissioner of Greater Manchester, which has been going for some years, and it's essentially things that we can do to, essentially enable people to feel safer cycling roads. I mean, my role at Isle of Man Cycling traditionally, as I've mentioned to you before, is generally the sport of cycling on the Isle of Man. But that role's changing a little bit now in terms of what we represent. There's a lot of people cycling for leisure, not necessarily wanting to race. And I think with recognising people's concerns about getting people to ride on the roads. Obviously, they're a lot busy. There's more cars moving about. We have narrow roads. It is a genuine concern, although statistically it's not necessarily unsafe. But
let's move on to that.
Perceptions are not.
Okay, but this week there was an instance of it appears that a cyclist was sort of taken off their bike. This keeps coming up. Do you see that you'd like this 2-meter rule to be mandatory for overtaking cycles?
As in the minimum overtaking distance?
Yes.
I think, well, part of the 10-point plan, one of those is more cycle awareness in the tuition stage of the driving process, really. And because I think anecdotally, what I see on the roads, whether I drive or whether I cycle or whether I walk, is some people just have a lack of understanding. I'll give you an example of that. When my daughter passed a driving test, when I sat in a car with her, and the first time, and bearing in mind, she rides a bike as well, so she has some additional understanding of what it's like to be on the roads. She didn't have a full understanding of when she'd overtake a cyclist. The roads are narrow. Should you just so it's clear that there's more we can do in terms of the tuition stage and the education stage, cycle awareness. And I think another good point in terms of how everyone can be educated in terms of when they use the roads is, we've called for bikeability training, which is a Department for Transport in the UK initiative that they recommend. And it's so if you think of the cycling proficiency, like we obviously remember from our school days, which is still a thing and has been still a thing in the Isle of Man, bikeability offers more realistic training, more realistic training, if we're honest, for all levels, from primary school age to adults, which it's not difficult to do. And in fact, the road safety manager of the Isle of Man has just initialised this scheme on the Isle of Man, which should be rolled out late summer to schools. So, which is a really positive initiative. So what that does is lots of different things in terms of young people, gives them an understanding of what it's like to ride on the roads realistically. I'll give you an example of the training is that you take a primary role in the road away from the curb slightly, and if you're passing cars out of the door zone, from people opening doors, which if you didn't cycle you might not be aware of that, and you might be frustrated as a driver that why is someone riding a bike taking that position in the road when they do, so having that understanding all around is great, so it's there's some really positive steps, so we've got a road safety review in progress at the moment, which is the first one I believe in 20 years, and the talk that's coming from it is all positive.
Right. Finally,
positive things which really need to be actioned. So police are under a lot of pressure with lots and lots of different things. But
can I ask,
as we know, road danger is
with the budget and this business about electric bikes. Are you approve of that sort of thing, or is that taking away the actual exercise part of it? If it's too, I know some of them are assisted and some are electric, fully electric. What's your views?
No, the regulations we have in the UK and obviously the Isle of Man is that they have to be assisted. So, if you have an electric bike, you still have to pedal it. And there's some really good examples, I know from my own experience talking to the local bike shops, is that, they've had people come in who've been desperate, to lose weight and get fitter, and electric bikes have enabled them to do that, So I think they're a fantastic tool to enable people to do that, So if you look at the Isle of Man specifically, we're not Amsterdam, we're not flat, but a lot of our journeys are short, so there's not masses of hills. But I would completely understand why someone who's never ridden a bike before, but does want to ride a bike, that would be the perfect way to get started. Absolutely do. And the examples I gave you from the local bike shops, they have actually gone on to be enthused to do more. And like I say, none of the bikes are purely electrically and fully assisted. You have to be pedal assisted. It just gives you a bit of a boost when you need it, if you need it up hills and things like that.